Like, he just basically said, don't get checked. Look, we good, but don't get checked. Shouts out to my man Grego, who's in the building as well. So Jerry Jones, this man, this man, from what I hear, is like this dude gets what he wants, and he do whatever he needs to do to get what he wants. Now, on the flip side of that, though, here's the thing that Robert Kraft didn't challenge Roger Goodell because he felt that, look, I'm going to take the rap, and then Tom's not going to get the games, but Tom still got the games. So then Robert got upset, about that with Roger Goodell. So how this sets a precedent, just like they were just talking about, the players and McNair used the, the inmates running the prison. Now, I'm not going to use that, but you don't want to set the tone. Just like Martavis Bryant. That's a better example to use. The Steelers didn't want to set the tone for the players to be like, all right, I'm going to tell the team where I want to go, when I want to go, and y'all going to trade me. So they set an example out of them. What happens if Jerry does that? Then does the other owners kind of start following suit, and they be like, yo, why should I F with Goodell? Or I got a beef too. So I'm going to fight this too. I'm going to start, threatening. Now, of course, again, they're not big dogs like Jerry Jones. He may be the guy, at the top of the mountain right now. But this might set a divide between some of these owners, and you're going to have to pick a side, I don't know. Back in the Wait a Minute Show chat room, this goes into what we talking about. 334 Bama says, 334 Bama boy said, Condoleezza Rice can't be the commissioner because she voted Georgia over Bama in the polls, and she's from Bama. That shows her decision making is suspect. So Broncos boy says, Grego, call Tom Brady and tell him to take it easy on my Broncos this weekend. Well, Broncos, y'all got a little bit more. You ain't got to worry about the New England Patriots. I think you really got to worry about yourselves. I think you really got to worry about Brock Osweiler. What kind of Brock are you going to get? Are you going to keep getting the Brock that stinks it up, or that Brock, a couple years ago he actually played some good games? Are you going to get anything out of that running game? C.J. Anderson, he looked like he's dinged up. Devin Booker is back, but we don't know. Devontae Booker, I'm sorry, he's back. So how much can he give? Does Jamal Charles have anything left in him? I think it's more about what the Broncos can do versus, what the Patriots could do. Broncos D could slow Brady and them down. I just think it's the offense for the Broncos. If the offense for the Broncos get to going, they could help out because we've seen what Von Miller can do, and Tom Brady don't want none of that, So, but back to Jerry Jones. We'll keep an eye on this. We'll talk about it as it gets updated. But yeah, I mean, if he gets right, if that happens, everything has to go through Dallas at that point. I mean, he's shutting it down, ladies and gentlemen, shutting it down. And then he's going to go in another owner's house later on this week and probably act like nothing didn't happen. So my last thing that I got for tonight's show, and I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me tonight, Wednesday night, hump night, getting this sports fix in. We're at that point where teams got to make a push. Teams get on fire. Last year, it was the Falcons. Falcons was around about like 4-3, 4-4, something like that. And they caught fire at the end of the regular season, took it over into the postseason. Of course, we already know, everything else. But, that's where a team. Another example is the Giants. The Giants, went into when they made their Super Bowl run. They went into it trying to be a wild card team, but they went into it, playing good ball, and then they caught fire in the playoffs. So that's where these teams, are trying to what they're trying to do now. They're trying to get that mojo going. They're trying to get a run going, put it on, and take it and take it into the playoffs. So there's 3 teams that I got that I think will be in the running or have an opportunity, I should say. And here's why. My first team is the Seattle Seahawks. They're 5-3 right now. They are 5-3, and I say it twice because their record doesn't reflect what they have not been getting from their team. Russell Wilson has been running for his life. Their run game has been so suspect. You haven't had one guy that took the reins in that backfield. Even though Pete Carroll, likes the whole running back by committee, we thought he might have had a guy in Chris Carson, but he got injured. Last year, we thought Thomas Rawls was going to be the guy that carried into this year. Hasn't showed anything, from last year that would warrant that. Eddie Lacy, he comes from Green Bay. He hasn't showed anything too much. Now I think he has a groin injury, So, and the one, maybe another guy that could have helped him, and Alex Collins, he's out in Baltimore, and he's helping them. So that run game, along with Russell Wilson running for his life. Now, here's why I think things could turn around. Is that they recently just picked up Dwayne Brown in a trade. I think that will stabilize that left side, which is Russell's blind side. I think he'll be a little bit more comfortable. He'll be a little bit more willing to stand in that pocket with Dwayne back there, because it's going to take Dwayne maybe a couple weeks to figure everything out, that he needs to figure out. But it's amazing what happens when you got time. When you have an extra second. An extra second is very big in the NFL. If you got an extra second for that wide receiver to get open, or, that tackle, or that even the guard or whatever, but that tackle can hold that block maybe an extra half second. That's the biggest thing. So I think with the Dwayne Brown, acquisition, that's going to help out that offensive line, which is going to help out that offense overall. And then the Legion of Boom gets back to being the Legion of Boom. They're behind right now. The Rams actually runs the NFC West, so they're trying to catch up. But they got an opportunity to be competitive. My number 2, they're coming to Atlanta this weekend. The Cowboys. It's very simple. The Cowboys need to have Zeke Elliott for the rest of the year. Without him, they struggle mightily. I don't think they can make a run at the playoffs without him. I think they still will have some wins that they'll make, good wins. I don't have them catching Philadelphia, even though, if they win this weekend, they're going to meet up with Philadelphia, and that could change. So, actually, they might could, catch Philadelphia, because I didn't even think about that. They're 5-3. If they win this weekend, that puts them at 6-3. And then if they see the Eagles that following weekend, if they beat the Eagles, that puts them at 7-3. Now, of course, the Eagles, will be 8-2 at that point. But you put some pressure, on them. And to me, just with Zeke out there, it does world of a difference for Dak. It doesn't put that whole pressure on Dak to do everything. Dak is a very, very good player. I like watching Dak Prescott play, And the last thing, it seems like their defense is starting to catch on a little bit, getting a little bit better. Guys like, that they got Jalen Smith. They got back, who was that? Irvin from suspension. I think Lawrence was, I think he has a sack in almost every game. I think he got one this past week as well. Sean Lee. If Sean Lee can stay healthy at middle linebacker, that's going to be a big, big boost for this team. So they could definitely, be a team that make, a run. They're 5-3. And I know a lot of people going to say, Jelani's being, biased, but no, it is what it is. And I'm going to tell you why. The last team that I got on here is the Detroit Lions. They're 4-4 right now. So they right at 500. They got a lot of climbing to do. But Minnesota's running this league at 6-2. They've already beat Minnesota once. So they got the confidence that they could beat Minnesota again. That's one thing. But this whole NFC North division, Matthew Stafford, I'm going to say it right now. I said it earlier to someone else that I was talking to. Matthew Stafford has the opportunity to show people why he got paid what he got paid. This is why they paid you. This is where you're supposed to take this and run. The NFC North is wide open. Minnesota is trying to figure out their quarterback situation. They just activated a guy that hasn't played in about a year and a half. Sam Bradford is on IR, and your guy is Case Keenum. So you're trying to decide between Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater. So they're trying to figure that out. They got an awesome defense. So that defense can hold them over. Green Bay Packers, we just talked about it. They cut Martellus Bennett. They'll know A-Rod. He masked a lot of things. They got problems. Chicago, they're not even in the running right now. They're not even, to be talked about because they're running with a new quarterback as well. Trubisky is just trying to learn the position and to play quarterback and get better and get ready for next year. So you have no major obstacles. And your next few games that you got coming up, those are winnable games. You have, who do they play this week? Cleveland. They playing the Cleveland Browns, the winless Cleveland Browns. That should be a game that they win. They're playing it at home. Who's the next team that they play? They play Chicago. Chicago, that's a divisional game. You could get help in the division. Minnesota is the next one. I just said they beat Minnesota before, so they should still feel confident. Then you got other teams that struggled mightily. Baltimore, Tampa Bay. Then you get Chicago again. You get the Bengals. They are a mess at this point. And then you get Green Bay at the end. And more than likely, Aaron Rodgers won't be playing that. They got a chance to make a run and do something. But it all depends on Matthew Stafford because the running game is not there. I have no problem saying that. The running game is not there. It's all on Matthew Stafford. So, recap, Seahawks, Cowboys, and the Lions. These are three teams that I think, have the possibility to make a strong push, for the playoffs. They just got to get it done, So I'm going to go in the chat room, the Wait a Minute Show chat room, and read off some comments here. We already talked about 334 Bama boy being upset with Condoleezza Rice for not picking his Alabama Crimson Tide. Grego said he's hoping that the Pats sign Martellus Bennett back. We talked about that a little bit earlier. I said I could see him going right back, and then he would ball out, there, and everyone would be like, yo, what's the deal? Hey, well, Tom Brady, is the deal. So who else is there? Oh, DJ King Royal is in here as well. So shouts out to DJ King Royal for in the building. DJ King Royal was also saying that the Eagles can't handle the pressure. So he was making a comment about, if the Cowboys made a run, can the Eagles handle the pressure? So he's saying that the Eagles, may not like, that's going to be, I didn't think it was, but that's going to be a big game next week. I'm just hoping Dallas doesn't look past the Falcons. Well, actually I am because I want the Falcons to win. But if they don't look past the Falcons and they beat the Falcons, then yeah, that's going to be a monster game, for them. Mocha Bella said that the Bears aren't going nowhere, so she's sending shots at Big L's team. Big L said Stanford has